I've been working on modernizing an interpretation from a document that's over 2,000 years old, and I want to read it to you. What I'm going to do is not describe where it came from. I'm just going to go through what I've got as plain language, modern interpretation. My name is Dan Paulson. Do you recognize where this comes from? A wisdom teaching. Knowledge of the wise counsel as taught by one of their members from a pure mental and inward teaching lineage. Nothing matters, the teacher says. What benefit are all of the memories and their result which you have accumulated in life? Despite living life through stages and different iterations of self, we will still experience our judged memories. Everything in the universe, including our judged experiences, moves in cycles. Regardless of the emotional nature of our experiences, good or bad, we will continue to experience them repeatedly in the nature of their emotion. People cling or anchor to mental desires. The more they get, the more they want. They are not satisfied for long, so we accumulate more judged life experiences. We will not understand why everywhere we move to, as we move place to place in life, life soon returns to the way it was. I, a knowledgeable one, was in charge of my mind's experience. I used my higher awareness coupled with memory and emotions to understand why my life is not okay and why I am living within cycles of past hurt. These are the judged life experiences I created in my stored memory while not being self-aware and was living first self. I see the dark I am holding on to from past experiences, and the darkness houses things that do not matter. What has been judged as bad cannot be undone, and my desires have no end. I looked deep into my mind and realized I had a mass of unresolved memories, yet now I am the iteration of self that is ready to look inward and heal my soul from the hurt. I will learn what to do. I ignored my hurt feelings and chose to manage the unresolved memories despite the fear of facing oneself. This will resolve my out-of-control mind. Resolving the hurt will not feel good, but the more I do it anyway, the more I will feel like resolving more, which will lead to joy. All right, I don't know what that sounds like to you. To me, if I read something like that, I go, wow, that's very plain language Buddha or Taoism or something like that. Lao Tzu, it's a very inward path. It's something that's like, oh, this is not what the source, shell, carrier, verbiage sounds like at all. What is it? Most people would probably recognize a very early rock song from the Byrds. To everything, turn, turn, turn. A time to all of those things. You know the song. I was going to sample it here, but it's actually copyright protected. They said you can use it if it's not monetized, but that can change later and I could lose the channel or the video or something. So I'm not even going to do it. Anyway, so it's Ecclesiastes. Let's go take a look at something and see why that is, though. Remembering this is very old material. And you know what? It needs to be interpreted. It really does. All right, let's go through some research here and let's get caught up. Let's get up to speed. This is very complicated. It's not known. But if you look through and see what we've got going on, you'll see there's something in here that isn't what people think it is. Okay, there's something in here, hidden in here, that people don't know. All right, Ecclesiastes. The term Ecclesiastes itself, the etymology, it was borrowed from late Latin, Ecclesiastes, borrowed from Greek, Ecclesiastes, from Ecclesiastes, participant in an assembly of citizens, adapted by the Septuagint translators as a rendering of. All right, what it means is a book of wisdom literature. It says in canonical Jewish and Christian scripture. It is, but neither the Jews or the Christians interpret it like this. They would call me blasphemous. All right. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. What I'm going to say here is that this has to be understood. The words of the preacher is, I'm going to change that when I do it to the teacher. Because honestly, it's not a preacher, it's a teacher. And I'm going to tell you what. In this case, as you get into the material and interpret it and make it your own, you become the person that goes on the path. What the individual doing here is really teaching. A preacher is somebody that says, here it is, this is what you must believe, this is it, this is what you must believe. That's a preacher. They're not teaching. What they're doing is programming. And you will be able to regurgitate what they've done. What have you done? Is that teaching? That's just passing along the same thing. When you take this inner path, it becomes very personal. And the individual that is telling you how to take the path is not a preacher. This is what you must do to feel better. You must pray to God and ask for forgiveness, all of that. That's the preacher right there. The teacher's the one that says, okay, here's what you have to do with it. You have to turn it inward and make it your own. When you make it your own, it's yours. There's nothing I can do that's going to heal you. You have to do it. The teacher is going to be the one that's conveying the information necessary for the person to take their path. It's a self-enabling path. The teacher teaches you how to take the path. The preacher doesn't even know how to take the path. They're the Pharisees like a dog in the manger, for neither do they eat nor do they let the others eat. That's metaphorical. They don't teach what's really there. They don't know what's really there. They're standing outside the narrow gate thinking they're inside. We are not believing or denying it. We are interpreting it and finding the inner path that is not looking outward to the anthropomorphized God of Abraham. So this is where I've changed it to teacher, as taught by one of their members, the teacher. The teacher is going to be telling you how this pathway goes, how they take the path, and you must take the path yourself. You sit and listen to somebody else tell you how to get salvation. You're listening to a preacher. You got somebody who's telling you, here's what you must do to feel better about yourself. You got a teacher. But they're going to word this how. We have to know that it's not the preacher. We have to know that as we interact with this, that's the carrier term. That makes sure that it gets the widest possible dissemination. It's going in the public. Yeah, as a preacher, son of David. David is, I'm just going to say, we've got a lineage of purity going on. I understand what the religious doctrine is, and it's very deep and it's very steeped, but the term here is much simpler. It's a pure form, a pure state. And King in Jerusalem, what we have here in this whole group right here, this Jerusalem is not physical Jerusalem. This is about us. I'm the teacher from a pure state. The King of Jerusalem is the one who is in charge of my inner self. Now, the reason it says Jerusalem is because this story was written by a Jewish person for the Jewish community. So it's going to be in Jewish terms. You could say King of Egypt somewhere. Different king, different words in there, and it would be carrying the same template, or it would be built on the same template. It could be like the words of Marduk, son of Apsu, king of Babylon. But what we have here in the beginning is also there's an authoritative source in the title of the material. These are analogously like books, only they're meant to be word of mouth. And if you think about that for a second, it's pretty easy to understand it. These are going around when people didn't read and they didn't write. It was just not common to read and write, but it was common for people to tell stories and to memorize the stories. So what do? Yeah, you get a book someplace. You don't just go to the first page and start reading. It's like, whoa, who wrote it? Where does it come from? What's the title of it? Tell me about it. So verbally, it's going to be the same thing. Here's a name. Here's the source of it. Now let's get into it. So that you're going to find that in all ancient material. Who wrote it? All right, so that's important to it as it's moving around. When it comes time to interpret it, what you're looking for is the authorship is not critical. Buddha may never have existed. Lao Tzu may never have existed, but there's a body of work that exists that when you interpret them, they're the same. They teach the same thing. We're going to find that across the board. We get into Ecclesiastes, it's going to be doing the same thing, teaching what they're teaching. At some point you go, I don't care who authored it. We need to understand what the lesson is. There's something in common out here between all of them. What's that common? What's that common teaching? It's the inward path. You must announce to the listener how the material is sourced. The preacher serves like a called hero, only they teach instead of going on an adventure. Those who interpret this are analogously the preacher. Son of David is an Abrahamic material lineage. Jerusalem denotes this is written by and to appeal to the Jewish community. We must put ourselves in their shoes to understand this. So in this case we have, and that's where I started off on the other one, knowledge of the wise counsel as taught by one of their members from a pure mental inward teaching lineage of David, and this version is for the Israelite population. We become the audience for the story. We must pretend to be them. Then it goes on, it says, vanity of vanities, said the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Okay, vanity repeated in rapid succession like that is verbal code. We count and compare with the Abrahamic numbering system from Genesis to provide the spiritual or mental weight of the analog. That gets too deep for this video. I'm just going to say that and If you follow my work, you know, and if not, you can ask. What do we have here? Vanity of vanities, said the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What does that interpret to? Nothing matters, the teacher says. Yeah, everything comes and goes all the time. It's going to be that way. We're going to get into that. We're not there yet. This is just starting off. What profit hath a man of all his labor that he taketh under the sun? Okay, this is physical, and it is spiritual. It's multi-layered. If you just read this like somebody that doesn't interpret, it doesn't really make sense. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? It goes on, it says, one generation passes away and another generation cometh back, but the earth abideth forever. Okay, what does that actually sound like if you don't interpret it? What good is the work that you do? You come and you go and you die. Now, what does that sound like? Don't even try, don't even work. There's people that have success, that pass along the success. They become family lineages, all of that. It really doesn't make sense in the physical world. You look at that and go, well, what does that mean? You're supposed to be a mendicant monk and sit around and wait for people to feed you your whole life? No, that doesn't, it doesn't sound right. So let's go look at it again. We have to understand something, that the verbiage that they're using is analogous in nature. It is meant to mean something different, but it plays out in the psyche. What profit hath a man of all of his labor? Now, profit is gain. What benefit? Man, any consciousness, any person, any human being, it doesn't matter, man or woman, of all of his labor, all that, not the work you do, but the mental work you do, all of the judgments and memories we have. We become a product of those judged memories. What profit doth the man have of his judged memories that he taketh under the sun, that he lives his accumulated in life? What benefit are all the memories and the result which you have accumulated in life? So see, that's how they begin. How you find the multi-layer. There is an inner layer, but then all of these terms become analogous. If you don't interpret it, it just sounds like why bother even doing anything? When you interpret it, then it does make sense. These are the memories. This is an internal pathway, pure lineage. We're looking for something in common with other material as well. One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. Look at that physically. What does that mean? Yeah, okay. We kind of know that. Is this really a spiritual document? It's It's kind of like saying you get up in the morning and the sky is blue and the sun sets in the evening. Yeah, it really does. Okay, one generation passes away. This is iterations of us. Where were you? What were you in junior high and in high school and your first job? And as we move along in life and we have experiences, we become iterations of ourselves. One part of yourself passes away. You move on to somewhere else. And another one comes, but everything stays in the same forever. The earth here, corrupt, 11 right there. It's things that are coming continuously. So, despite living life through steps and different iterations of self, we will still experience our judged memories. Does that make sense? You might not know how to interpret it, but if you think I'm the generations passing away, coming and going. As I continue to move along in life, my life experiences don't change. They might be for a while, but then you get there and go, how come it's the same here? People are just this way. You got to realize you're bringing with you the things that you need to get triggered. So you're going to find relationships that fit, that are going to trigger those things. That's what you need to stop and look at. Why do other places not have that going on, but every place I go does have it? I'm the magnet. I'm the emotional magnet. I don't know it. The wind goeth toward the south and turneth into the north. It whirleth about continuously, and the wind returneth again according to its circuits. The wind represents our motion and directions in life. This is further stating from 5 that life is lived in cycles. And whatever, also, what the nature of them is. You might have good things happen, they get triggered all the time. You're like, oh, I remember that. It was so good. You might something else happen that's bad. You're like, oh, God, I hate that. It's so bad. Those are both triggering, but one good, one bad, north, south. It all works, no matter what. Life works that way. I think for this video, given that, the popularity is down so much and there's just nobody to communicate with or anything, I'm just going to stop right there because I question whether there'll be any interest. I understand the material is just not the popular stuff. If there's an inward path for healing through here, Why bother? I mean, I'm just doing something that's so oddball. It's not going to be this. This is not in modernity. This is not the way to inner peace. Right here, extracting it from Abrahamic material. It's too deep. It's too complex. It's too hard. But and even if I can expose it and believe I'm right, if nobody can understand it, it's not exposed, is it? It's not at all. So I'll just leave it open to anybody. If you have any questions or comments, or if you wanted me to continue, I would do it. I just don't know if, I mean, I see what I'm doing. I see what's going on. And, a pathway to inner peace is easier to accomplish with material that's not so baggage ridden. Buddha, Lao Tzu, psychology itself, it's very difficult. Learning to let go of things, learning to turn away from things, learning to disconnect is a very difficult and ongoing process. Learning that we have come through life experiences that are unresolved and hurtful, like is in here. And it's going to go on and talk about what to do. There's only 12 chapters of Ecclesiastes. It's pretty short. But to do a video on like each chapter would probably take an hour video for each chapter. It'd be like 12 hours of video just to try and interpret in this manner. I can do it in my head very quickly, but in order to make a video, to show it takes a while. But even if I show it, I understand it doesn't mean anything to anybody. If you can't do it on your own, it doesn't, you look at it and go, he's just making stuff up. So I get that. So anyway, if you have any interest, let me know. And if not, well, I'll just figure out something to do to keep the video shorter to maintain something more within the modern attention span and lifestyle. All right. See you in the next video.